I'm so grateful to have you here tonight with us at the right venue. If you have been voluntold or forced to be here, then I have a game for you. Every time I say the word privilege, you take a drink. Unless you're underage, Christina is checking ID at the bar. That should help make the next 15 minutes a little more exciting. But please ensure that you don't drink and drive. The good news is that it's 2020 and you can take an Uber. The bad news is that you're in Surrey and Mayor Doug will give you a ticket. So I've had a lot of friends ask me, Andy, what are you speaking about tonight? And I tell them, I'm speaking about privilege, to understand your own privilege and the privilege of others, and to better connect the world around you. And if you're playing the game, I already said privilege 3 times, make that 4. Some of my friends look like this. If you can't see from the back, it's Mayor Doug. He's white and he's male. And I could just feel, a drop of sweat falling down the side of their face when I told them my topic, privilege. But I want to assure you that this is not a hunt for the white males. Now, to start us off, I'm going to select a completely random person to help me out. Let's see. So many amazing people in the room. Completely random. How about you there in the corner? Can you stand up for me? Can you face everyone just so they could see you? What's your name? Ryan. Ryan, where are you from? Vancouver. No, I mean, where are you really from? Nah, where are your parents from? Vancouver. Okay, you can sit down. Thank you. Round of applause for Ryan. Thank you. So if you've never experienced this before, then you likely have race or ethnic privilege. I believe the intention is to open conversation. But for me, it's a game that I don't want to play. Because of the color of my skin, it is somehow hard to believe that I'm from here. After a few more where are you froms, I decide to give them the answer they really want to know. I am Chinese Vietnamese. Of course, at this point, it only gets worse. And they follow up with, oh, I have tons of Chinese friends, and then ni hao. At this point, my mind is thinking, please stop. Unknowingly, opening up a conversation door that isn't going to be open for very long. For the person being asked, where are you from, as I've been on many occasions, it causes instant disconnect. But I will come back to this a little later. When was the last time you were at the airport worried that you wouldn't make it through security because of your name? When was the last time you were holding hands with your partner in public and had people stare at you because of your sexual orientation? When was the last time you were nervous about walking down the street alone at night? I walk alone around Surrey all the time at night without too much thought. That is my male privilege. If you don't have to think about it, it's a privilege. Privilege is a right, immunity, benefit, enjoyed only by a person beyond the advantages of most. I like this definition because most people think of privilege as something you have. But oftentimes it is the immunity you have from being profiled, from being stared at, from being made to feel different. To understand your own privilege, I will show you 10 areas that influence your privilege and go over what privilege is in each of those areas. As I go over each one, make a note in your booklet if you have privilege in that area. So first we have race or ethnicity. If you are Caucasian or white, that would be considered privilege. So if you are Caucasian or white, you would consider yourself privileged, and you would kind of mark down 1 point for that one. Second point, mental or physical health or ability. If you are able-bodied, able-minded, and disease-free, you can make another note down there for a second point of privilege. We have education or language. So if you have higher education, again, make a note. Sexual orientation. If you're heterosexual or straight. We have class or income level. If you're middle or upper class, you can make a note. For appearance, weight, or attractiveness. If you appear attractive or you're conservative, and this does not mean if you have a pimple or you look tired, as I do now, that you are underprivileged. Religion. So if you are Christian or in the area majority, make a note. Family influence and past experiences. If you have a positive family life and no past trauma. For biological sex, if you are male. Gender identity, if you identify as the same sex at birth, cisgendered. So these are the 10 very general areas of privilege. And many more factors play a part of this. But this can give you a base idea of how much privilege you have. I have 8 out of 10 of these, and so I do consider myself to be fairly privileged in many ways. If you can take a quick 15 seconds to tally up your general privilege in these 10 areas, and you don't need to share this with anyone, but just for your own knowledge, let's take 15 seconds to just give yourself a general score out of 10 for privilege. And now that you have an idea of your own privilege, let's try to understand the privilege of others. So it's not as simple as, are you privileged or are you underprivileged? Privilege is a spectrum. It's fluid. It can change over time. For example, someone's health and income could change drastically after a loss, and they would suddenly become less privileged than before. Privilege is societal norms and fitting in. That means it can also change depending on the location, situation, or group that you're in. When I was in a smaller French town in Quebec, my Asian ethnicity was made very aware to me when people would just stare at me when I walked into the mall. Whereas when I traveled to East Asia, it just seemed to kind of blend in and I didn't have to think about it. But they still ripped me off. So, oh, you're Vietnamese, I'll give you a good deal. But nope. So no one is 100% privileged, nor 100% underprivileged. We all fall in between somewhere. And there's no way to look at someone else and know how privileged they are. That is why understanding your own privilege first is so important to be able to connect with others. So when you first meet someone, you can only see the tip of who they are, demonstrated by this iceberg example. It is important to understand that just because someone may visibly be white and male, for example, it does not automatically mean that they are the most privileged person. And similarly, a visible woman of color does not automatically mean that they're the most underprivileged person either. A white male could very well be less privileged than a woman of color. A visibly white male could be transgender, have no parents, low income, be bullied, and did not have opportunities for education, making them a lot less privileged than they appear, or that you could see. My point here is that you don't know everything about others, and that's okay. You have no more choice to be born white than anyone else being born of any other color. The University of San Francisco has a great quote: "Becoming aware of privilege should not be viewed as a burden or a source of guilt, but rather an opportunity to learn and be responsible so that we may work towards a more inclusive and just world." Use the privilege that you have to support those who are underprivileged. First, be open and understanding of challenges that those without your privilege face. As a male, I try to understand the challenges that a woman might face, such as their time of the month, and how best I can use my privilege to support them. 2, use your privilege as a voice and to stand up for someone underprivileged. For example, if I hear a man joking that a woman is grumpy because she's on her period, I have an opportunity to speak up. I want to make it very clear that it can be uncomfortable, ineffective, or even unsafe for an underprivileged person to stand up and defend themselves. And let me say that underprivileged people are generally very sensitive and aware when they do not have that privilege immunity. So sensitivity, kind of trigger warning here for some strong language. That's so gay. Don't be a faggot. If someone makes a homophobic comment from way across the room, I can hear it. It's my defensive trigger that I am always thinking about. Now, if a heterosexual or straight person steps in and tells them that that's not okay, it suddenly has more power and effectiveness because it is coming from someone with privilege. Third, make sure that you let the person you're supporting lead the way. You don't want to unintentionally speak over the underprivileged person in your attempts to support them. They may not need your support, or they may not want your support that you have assumed that they need or they want. So I will leave you with 2 challenges. The first challenge, to understand where are you from. If you're asking them where do they live, ask away. If you're asking them about their race and ethnicity, then your first question to yourself should be, do you really need to know that? If not, don't ask. It should not matter if you're just meeting someone for the first time, what their ethnicity or their race is. And they shouldn't need to share that with you either. I think sometimes we want to know so that we can quickly use stereotypes to understand this person better and connect with them, which is really making a lot of assumptions, and it's probably not going to help you connect in the long run. If it is an appropriate time to ask, I personally find it okay if someone asks me for my background or ethnicity. Now you know, build connections by asking me about my passions and my interests. Trying to relate by fitting me into an ethnic box will only build barriers. And the last challenge, many of you are very familiar with, the 4-way test. The 4-way test aims to guide the things we do, think, and say. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? I think the 4-way test is great, but I think it can be applied incorrectly when you have privilege and you simply don't think about it. How can you say that it's fair and beneficial to all concerned? If you're applying this test with your privilege, then it may not actually be fair, beneficial, or build goodwill and better friendships. So I challenge you to ask yourselves a 5th question. Did you consider and ask all concerned? By understanding and being aware of your own privilege, you can better understand the challenges that others face. You will be able to use your privilege and to stand up and support others. Let them lead the way, and you will be the one step closer to breaking the barrier of privilege. I look at all of you, amazing people here in the audience, and I know that you can connect the world. Thank you.